Welcome back, OPL fans. It's going to be Game 2 between Legacy and the Direwolves. After an explosive early start for Legacy, honestly, I was up and about, and then just business as usual for the Direwolves. Come in.
Gets to mid-game, and then they just start winning.
They are so good as soon as they get a window. I think that is the biggest thing. As soon as you slip up a little bit, like, you give them a finger, they take your whole body.
And that's kind of like what I want to touch on in terms of Direwolves. They're not a team that makes like big flashy plays all the time. They make little leads and they turn it into a mile basically. Give them an inch and they will take a mile, but they just don't make mistakes. They very rarely like mis-execute on a play. They won't make a huge play, but the little ones that they do time and time again always just work. Yeah,
exactly right. For the Australians out there, give them a centimetre and they'll take a kilometre. Of course, probably don't know what an inch or a mile is.
Just have no
I'm
idea.
just going to like make it a little bit more relative for them.
Okay.
We don't cast American sport over here, Jim.
Okay.
We're Aussies.
Have you ever heard anyone say, give them a centimetre and they'll take a kilometre?
Absolutely not.
Good. Because that sounds so much uglier.
You heard it here first.
Absolutely.
I am a creative genius.
Okay, that's what they want to call it. We're into the bans so far.
Are we?
Yeah, 6 have hit the bench right now.
Been banned away, man.
Sejuani, Nah, and Camille.
Yep.
1 jungler and 2 top lane bans towards Mimic. We're seeing that once again. Zoe, Gangplank, and Skarner will be matched on the side of Legacy.
Yeah, very interesting that they don't ban any mid laners away because they know they can priority pick what they want in this.
Interesting development. We have seen the Ezreal picked away Kalista. Not Legacy's best champion, I feel like, overall, and Direwolves know that, so they don't ban it, and Legacy doesn't even match it there, but they do take away the Ezreal. They know that King favors that one.
Kali Star is up and available. Zyra Khan up and available.
Lots of choices for the bot lane of the
just Tristana Alley, which seems at the moment to be really strong.
Might just be the Kalista Alley actually locking in.
I like it. Cupcake's been like, if its support deserves a Kalista at the moment, it is Cupcake.
Yep, 100%. I agree with you. And the thing for me is I feel like the Oceania doesn't actually have like the best Kalista players. When Kalista's in meta, I feel like everyone can play her. She's one of those champions. Actually, they opt in for the Taric. Bit interesting. Better into the Braum.
Yeah, but awesome into Braum.
But I feel like Blinky is really the only one. He might not be like the best AD carry, but he's probably the best Kalista. Because in my eyes, if you're not an alt Kalista, you're a bad Kalista.
Yeah, but then, see, my argument to that would be, I think Blinky is, but I think Jake is not the support that you want to have if you're playing Kalista.
I mean,
Does
Blinky
that make sense?
Yeah, Blinky Cupcake were the duo in OCS before they made it to OPL.
Yep.
Bring him back.
I would personally just like to see Blinky and Jake continue to play together.
Okay.
However, are they both Kiwis, Blinky and Cupcake?
Yeah. There you go. There you go. They were on, with Chippies, I think. Was it in the OCS? And they were on, no, what was the team? Best Players Ocean or something?
Oh, were they?
And there was like a bunch of Kiwis. I think Raze was on that team. Actually, no, it couldn't be Blinky and Raze. That doesn't make any sense.
Who knows?
Yeah, double 80 carries there.
Got to be Ryze picked up for Claire. They ban away the Evelyn. Fiora hits the bench, so Mimic getting some respect.
Yep.
I wasn't a huge fan of it, to be honest, though.
I mean,
he didn't do enough with the pick for me.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the Gangplank thing, right? You pick the Fiora, it's not like you're playing into Gangplank and you've got to counter pick it, like you're not on the clock, but he kind of was to have an impact and then kind of just didn't early enough, and the 4 on Legacy obviously struggled on the other side of the map, and with that Ignite, could do absolutely nothing. He could not lock Chippies down in that lane, and obviously Chippies was a big factor in them actually getting these proactive engages off on the other side of the map. Shyvana, champion we haven't seen in a few weeks, does actually get banned away from Shernfire by Legacy. Yeah,
obviously they want to force a tank versus tank matchup again because Sybil at least early game did a good job. However, Shern's late game ultimates were very on point. Not going to see it out of the Sejuani this time.
That one onto Mimic really, already mentioned it, but instantly blew up the Fiora. Because she's a champion, if she can actually proc her ulti in a team fight, like you don't think about Fiora as a team fighter, but that's not just a heal for Fiora, that's a heal for everyone. That can be a big swing.
Going to be a Mimic on a tank now. Sion picked up.
Yep. We have seen him on earlier in the season. Looked pretty good.
Lucio looking very animated on the camera right now.
Yep, so see what Chippies does take into this one. See Camille and Fiora, we saw both of them last game, obviously hit the bench here. Has a lot of options though. Chippies, a champion, a player that's praised for his intensely deep champion pool, and then he goes for the Maokai.
This is what I'm saying. This is why, personally, I think, you know, banning towards Chippies can sometimes just be a little bit questionable. Because the dude plays everything. He plays like non-top lane picks in top lane. He would play Jax, and that's a jungler at the moment.
Yeah, he plays Olaf.
Yeah, that's a jungler.
That's a nothing at the moment, really.
Yeah, that's in the bid.
That's a nothing. Looks like it might just be the Zac, and it will be once again from Sybil. Had a good performance game 1, honestly. into the Kha'Zix. There is potential that he can be snowballed on pretty heavily.
However, also it's just potential that all of the members right now of Legacy get too tanky for Shern to do anything.
Yep.
You're going to have Iceborne Gauntlet picked up for Rage. You're going to have Claire with 1,000,000 health at the start of the game because Ryze is a silly champion that only has to build mana.
Yeah, not to mention Ryze is one of the hardest mid laners to assassinate as a Kha'Zix, obviously, because he
has a shield.
Yeah, he has a shield, but also he roots you whilst he gets it. You're just pissing yourself laughing after you. We have to get community consensus, actually pro player consensus on if he would have died in that. I'm going to tweet it out later. We'll figure it out. Because I guarantee you the Kha'Zix would not have killed the Ryze. There's no way.
Bryce Asian Paul using his Twitter community. So
you have more followers than me. What do you
absolute
mean?
Evil.
You're the big guy picking on me.
If you're Bryce's Twitter followers, please don't flame me.
Please do.
I'm here for education and entertainment purposes only.
Okay.
It's all fun and games until someone gets a Twitter community thrown at them.
Is that how it works?
I have no idea, dude. I'm just making stuff up as I go along.
Okay.
I like it. I've had a long week. Jasper's not sleeping. However, we're going into game 2. It's going to be Legacy taking on the Direwolves. And I really want to see Legacy translate one of these early games. I feel like they've had so many early game advantages that they haven't been able to translate. That must be frustrating.
And absolutely, 100% from experience as a player, that is one of the most frustrating things because you know you should be winning the mid game. You should be able to set these ones up, but I feel like they're just missing a few steps in between. They maybe make the right play, but set it up slowly. Don't clear out the vision, get caught in the enemy's top jungle.
Just looking at Shern, I think potentially some posture issues there. However.
Oh, okay. I'm not the big posture man. Myself is pretty bad, but we are into game 2, Direwolves versus Legacy. And Laura's standing beside the Direwolves coach, Sharp.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm standing here alongside Sharp. The Direwolves were able to take game number 1, but I want to ask how they were feeling coming into this series and also how they're feeling during the break.
Yeah, well, I mean, Legacy are quite a respectable opponent. Soul Strike's obviously big brain of the league was going to come out with an interesting draft, and he did. I feel like the guys definitely gave Legacy the respect they deserved, and I think that, I think that we really respected it well, and I think that kind of with our gameplay in the game, you can kind of see that we didn't really do anything really disrespectful. We played a very standard draft, and I think that we executed it quite well.
Speaking of that draft last game, we saw 7 bans coming out towards the mid lane, but this game we didn't see that. Are you able to explain to us why we're seeing this change?
Well, I mean, I think Triple's been popping off recently. Even a lot of the coaches have been very vocal about how impressed they've been with Triple's performance, myself included. So I think that they've looked to try and exploit that and potentially see if he has a champion pool weakness. And look, it just honestly didn't work out very well for them. So I think they've said, all right, scrap that out of here and move on. So I think that's kind of what's happened in the Legacy base.
What do the Direwolves need to do this game? What do they have to check off their checklist to take the win today?
Well, I mean, I think we have a pretty well-rounded composition, a team fighting composition. We have frontline, we have engage, we have a bit of disengage. I think that as long as we execute on our team fight, play the skirmishes well, I think we'll come out on top.
Well, best of luck, and thank you so much for talking to us, Sharp.
Thank you very much.
As we saw the interview, honestly pretty surprised that Legacy didn't commit harder to that zone because 3 creeps were about to die, which would have been a massive deal. However, they just take the one Klepto proc, get themselves a sack of gold, and get the heck out of dodge.
Bot lane is all about level 2. You hit level 2 first, then you win for the next few minutes. But only if it's not matched. And I feel like something interesting to note so far. Claire got himself the spellbook. When you look at the mid lane, 2v2, Triple and Shernfire, not a lot of CC, but a ton of damage. So he wants the heal to be able to survive through that one. Zach on the Sybil, not going to be much help in the early phases of the game. We've talked about that one extensively, but he really needs to have the cleans late game. Ryze, short-range mage against the Maokai. The flash snare is just so easy to execute on. So it feels like he needs to have both of those tools at different points in the game. So instead of seeing the things like the phase rush, we've actually seen all 3. Airy and the Comet, he does go for the spellbook.
I think it's a great decision because you also need flash available as much as possible versus Maokai. So even though it has been tapped a little bit down, still obviously gives you that reduced cooldown and will be very good as Cupcake steps forward, actually lands this time.
And the big thing is it doesn't actually matter how much the cooldown on the summoner is, as long as it's coming off cooldown before the opponent. You don't matter if your flash is on 4 minutes to 5. It could be 4 minutes 50 to 5, but there's still that 10-second window
where you can
that you can play around. Shernfire walking over a ward.
Will look to smite it away and gets it. Sybil just didn't want to burn his smite.
Yeah, wanted that auto attack, but obviously travel time. His big elastic arm was shooting out, but didn't quite get there. Smite instant cast out of Shernfire, picks himself up a crab for free.
Yeah, So Shern got both crabs and therefore is a camp up. So Sybil had cleared an extra camp within his jungle. Refillable pot picked up for Cupcake. Bit of an interesting one.
Yeah, bit of just a greedy thing. You want to kind of just get a small advantage where you can. Obviously, Ezreal Braum, not the biggest early game engage, but obviously against the Taric and the Kalista, they'll be absolutely fine. So they know they will get priority in this matchup. Ezreal pushes incredibly slowly, so can just opt in for 2 pots instead of 3 and then gets the extra value on that base.
Right, very nice. Mystic Shots, however, early in the game has been able to get a little bit of poke down. However, good defensive play from King. I think Dorian Shield is an underrated item at the moment from 80 carries. We see so many blades in lanes that aren't necessarily kill lanes.
They still want to kill.
Do
They just want to kill. I like killing people.
That's true.
Yeah. Right, looking for another Q, does land.
Mana pot. Ooh, burn straight away.
Yeah. Not to mention, does have that mana flow ban there, so he picks that one up.
Claire actually going to be able to push in triple here on the map, and having a look at the team comps, you know, who's got the scaling advantage? What do you think the windows are that they'll be playing around?
I feel like it's pretty interesting. Legacy's comp scales better overall, but then the Azir is such a big wildcard. He could just 1v5 a team fight. We've seen it so many times. Kalista trails off a little bit, but pretty beefy compositions overall. Legacy have the advantage there. Top lane. It's going to be another one of those tank v tank matchups. So level 6 spike, I think, will be the big thing. When Kalista hits at bot lane, you want chippies to be able to get down there. Flash onto Raid, CC him up, look for some sort of advantage there.
And another game where Triple has gone back, got himself a second ring and an amp tome. He is a big, big fan of double Doran's rings. I actually think that, you know, with people like Swiffer and things like doing that now, it's a little thing, but I think that's like kind of like cute in the fact that it's become meta-defining almost, that he's winning matchups harder because of the fact that he's willing to invest in the early game.
Yeah. That's 2 from 2. You said King was the only one that brought back Ezreal after nerfs, and now other OPL teams prioritizing that. Raid taking it away in this game. And obviously Triple with that build path as well. Seeing other people do it. Mimic, nice little charge. Going to do negligible damage to the Maokai, and he's just going to farm that one up. TP's back to lane. Obviously Mimic has gone for the Comet this game, so wants that bit of early lane pressure. We've seen both, and I feel like Comet has been more successful overall. But
I mean, I think Comet's success is more obvious.
well, yeah.
I think you don't really see what Glacial Augment does. Obviously, if you run in there with, you know, your Righteous Glory, beams start shooting out everywhere. However, apart from that, not really all that much going on, apart from the slows on the auto attacks.
Yep, Sybil finds himself deep in the enemy jungle of the Direwolves, looking for that red buff, but saw Shernfire in the ward, so he's just going to back away. In a fairly slow start, and I feel like this is what we expect. It's what we saw game 1. It's what we expect out of these two teams. Neither really make huge decisive plays, but in saying that, we haven't even hit level 6 there for the bot lane I was mentioning. That's going to be the big thing. Sybil actually changed up his skins because game 1 we lost. He was just default green Zac. Game 2 looking for SKT.
Shern invading straight away. Sybil's going to be able to spot him out here. You can see multiple members heading over. Sybil looking for it. Gets the knock up. Gets the slap back. Mimic can charge if he wants. Shern prioritizes the buff. Will flash. Will get over the wall. Now Triple in some trouble. Uses the ultimate to get them away. However, has just been stunned up for so long. Realm Warp over the wall. It's a short one, but all 3 members take it. The arms hit. That is going to be the slow knock up onto 2. Rips him back off a ward. Triple in some trouble. That's an overshoot from Sybil, but his first blood goes over to Mimic. Now potential Trippy's in trouble. Good twisted advance to get him out of danger.
And that pink ward comes up. MVP gives Sybil something to slap the mid laner of Direwolves against. He has to burn the cleanse, has to burn the flash, but Shernfire gets Triple killed with that invade.
Yeah, exactly right. So even though Shern got himself out, picks up level 6, now this top lane going to be a little bit more difficult. And a reset available on Catalyst for Claire is only going to mean good things for this Legacy lineup.
Yeah, fantastic going forward. Once again, Legacy find themselves with a small advantage in the early game. Level 6 has been picked up by King, but not for Cupcake. But with junglers on the top side of the map, now going to be tracking towards bot side. See if they can transition that pressure. Mimic and Chippies both don't have TP, but Claire does.
Exactly right. So with the Realm Warp nearly halfway off cooldown, as well as TP going to be coming up and available, global ult pressure definitely on Legacy's side. Also feel that they've just got, once again, some good shoving lanes on the top side of the map. This bottom lane is being pushed into right now. There's no shops that have really come out. But the longer Ezreal gets to sit in lane, I feel like it doesn't hurt him as much as it used to.
Delaying the tier.
Yeah, you still get your tier pretty early on in terms of stacking. Players just got real good at stacking tiers, to be honest.
It's not the hardest thing to do on the hot, just run around the map, spam Q and W basically off cooldown. Claire looking for a bit of a trade. But Sybil is in his back pocket right now. That's the Q coming out from Triple. Won't have the dash available.
Yeah, actually gets out fairly nicely. I was going to say, remember when Jace Nidalee only had to swap forms to be able to get tier stacks?
That was dumb.
Or Nidalee hopping would
gone.
give her tier stacks. That's hilarious.
That's OP. That was back in mid-Nidalee days.
Yeah, Nidalee.
Nidalee. That was annoying. I used to play that back in like season.
Actually goes underneath the turret. Realm Warp coming in as well. That's 2 ultimates used.
Yeah, it is. Puts the wave under the turret. Clay gets a nice little trade with Mimic floating behind them, but that's a big expenditure. Sybil didn't even land the E before casting the ulti, so they're kind of trying to hard commit, but unfortunately didn't go deep enough. And
you can see right now in the bottom lane, Decoy's been engaged onto Shern, takes that plant. Decoy has to dash away, so priority means that Shern's very confident counter-jungling this one away. They're pinging on the way. You can see they're bringing the Braum. Claire's already scouted out the play. So Shern just will back off. I feel like that's a good play. However, root lands. See whether they can get one more auto. He has stunned him up. That will be the Ignite used as well. Sybil looking for him. Just not enough damage. Does he go over the wall? No. So Shern, again on aggressive invade, will live.
Once again, on the edge of his life, they're going incredibly low. Sybil, does he actually blind E over the wall? Shern fire, might know where he is. No, will get spotted out by the ward. So it does just back away. But Triple going for the base as well. Legacy just have so much pressure on that around the mid lane. Mimic constantly pushing in with that early kill onto the top side, just using that pressure to walk down the river. Obviously, these two not going to interact with each other too much in the laning phase. Really no threat of death from either.
But in saying that, there's kind of 2 trains of thought versus Sion, which is, you know, you can just get shoved underneath your turret, try and weather the storm and scale, which is risky because he can dive you. He's actually quite a good diving top laner. Or you pick something that teamfights better than. We saw the Cho'Gath already as an answer. I feel like Maokai is a similar answer. Maokai is the best teamfighting tank in the game. He is so easy to execute upon.
And that's just so underrated. Ease of execution. You just flash, you W, you lock down an 80 carry.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if Ezreal goes over 16 walls. Twisted Advance follows him everywhere.
It does. It's a sneaky tree root. Coming out from Maokai, but blue buff got to be handed over to Triple. Claire has not received his yet, so Triple should have the wave clear advantage for the time being. But Dire Wolves bringing their bot lane up. There are no wards in the river for Legacy, so they won't know where they are just yet.
Claire also going for an aggressive build here, has picked himself up the makings of the Rod of Ages, which we don't see for a very long time, as that's going to be a Sion ultimate back to wave, so he doesn't have to use a TP.
Claire walking up, Shernfire looking for something, and both mid laners kind of calling over the jungle. Triple knows that he is the target right now. Clans did just come available, but still no flash. So Sybil is trying to get onto him. His ulti is back off cooldown. So they have a small, about 30-second window to try and punish this one if they do choose. But because of the bot lane basing for Legacy, that means Dire Wolves walk up the river. They lose priority for the most part.
And Claire actually doing a very good job of farming out in this lane. You can see bottom lane also relatively even. So once again, we have a game that it's the first blood gold, really, that is the only advantage for either team. As Triple going to face check a brush, going to get kidnapped back. Is it going to be enough? No root going to land, but he walked back into him a little bit. Realm Warp now going to be up and available. Flash just coming off cooldown. No, it's not there yet, and the kill will go across.
Not to mention he burns the cleanse. I think Claire actually rooted up Shernfire, trying to contest the vision in the river, so didn't have it available, but luckily Flash not quite up. Realm Warp does close the gap, and this might just be mid-turret for Legacy.
Will be. You see the big chunk there, and Shern's nowhere to contest. So they're going to stick around for this one. They delayed Claire's blue for so long that I think it kind of mind-gamed the Dire Wolves to keep contesting it and gave Legacy a space to fight around. Sybil actually jacked some gold.
I mean, Triple had no idea. He thinks, look, my jungler's in the bot side of the river. He's contesting the dot brush vision there, so he had no idea where Sybil was. Literally face-checked the bush, lands the easiest E, and kidnaps him back into the mid laner of Claire. That's an easy pickup. So the Rod of Ages is completed at 12 minutes for Claire.
Yeah, Rod of Ages, boots too, as well as an extra amp time. Probably going to go towards a Morale-Nomicon. It's a greedy build, but if you get accelerated, you absolutely can destroy everyone.
It's not even about where he is in relation to the game. It's Triple 0-2 right now. So not to mention Claire is accelerated with the kill. Triple is also behind the mark. Once again, Mimic. Playing in the
big ghost sapling.
Playing in the top side of the river. Always kind of done this way. This game is just walk down that river, floated to mid. He hasn't actually been influential in a fight, but he's constantly there.
For Claire, as Claire was kind of checking that brush. See whether he sweeps behind him. No, he doesn't use it. Just instead takes his blue buff away. Shern's still looking for him.
Was invisible, hits the plant, so Claire knows that he's there.
I feel like this is one of those games that Shern's scoreline doesn't show the fact that he's actually been punished quite heavily for his invades, because it's actually translated into triple scoreline.
Yep.
Shern's the one that has been first into all of these, and it's been triple that unfortunately can't get away as quickly as Shern can with those ulti charges.
You'd have to think that the bird should just be able to fly away and the bug gets squashed, but unfortunately that is not how it's happened for the mid laner of the Direwolves.
That's funny.
They do pick themselves up.
Well played, sir. Well played.
A nice little dragon. This is interesting. We haven't seen too much Kalista because it's obviously been left open the entirety of this series, and Legacy, after they've played it a few times, I was criticizing them for it. They don't pick that one back up, but we haven't seen much successful Kalista laning, to be honest. Well, there's like a 5 CS deficit, but Ray's just going to pick this one back up. No team.
Up. A little bit of aggression comes out. However, as you said, not all that much after jockeying back and forward.
No team has really been able to force anything on the bot side of the map. Obviously, Tarek.
Oh, he misses. The ultimate went for the scoop, and in comes Sybil. Flashes forward. That's a confidence play, but Realm War comes out. See whether they prioritize Shern. They will not actually. They just Mimic just runs him over.
That's going to be the kill pickup by the truck there. Shernfire might try and defend by 2 tanks. And Legacy, not much damage, but they're looking to float this one to the bot lane. The Direwolves bot lane might just be in trouble. Very hard to die with the Kalista and the Tarek.
Decoy wants it, gets the knock-up. The proc was already there. Flash will come out. They'll burn the heal as well. Tarek ultimate. This is going to be a very hard dive to complete. CC'd out of turret range, and they will go. Sybil's underneath the turrets. Fake call is in. A huge 3-man knock-up out of Mimic. The ultimate is there. The kidnap is on. Sybil will go down to Blob Blitz. However, 2 members already dead. Flash and heal out of raid will just keep him alive. No, 1, 2 procs, and Shern is looking for him. See whether the jungler can pick him up. Arcane Shift just off cooldown. That is a 3-for-0 trade, and Legacy now in the commanding position.
Almost a 4,500 gold lead for Legacy right now, similar to Game 1. Direwolves actually tried to turn the play. Numbers disadvantage 5 members of Legacy, but they think with the Fate's Call, with the Tarek ulti, we can survive long enough. The turret can do enough work. Shernfire
still
looking
hanging
for
around.
the pick onto the Ezreal, but just could not quite find it. But that will be another turret, 2-0, going over to the lineup of Legacy.
And this is what we said. This comp for a Kha'Zix to play against is actually quite hard.
Yep.
At the start of the game, you're going to be able to find Sybil. You're going to do some serious damage. However, he's got some items now. It's going to not go that way.
And the first part of this that's influential is that flash out of King. It means the Braum passive is actually not applied, but at this point, ulti comes out. Sybil gets himself in, and this is a big knock-up from Mimic. Shernfire, you see on the top side of your screen, is trying to get into the play. Sybil will go down there, but unfortunately he can't pick up the kill. He looks for Raid on the back end, but Raid kites to the left, and Chippy's, what's he going to do? He's a big tree, he's a Maokai. Eventually he will just go down. Sybil chases him one out. Mimic actually burns his flash to get the kill, but I respect it.
Yeah. I mean, Mimic is sick of kind of watching the game happen around him. He's like, I'm going to be involved in this game as Triple takes half his health, and the ultimate will come across. Does not register the damage.
But Legacy right now floating their bottom lane to the top side of the map, looking to break the outer ring of turrets. They have bot, they have mid. Can they get top as well? But
and we kind of said Legacy's scaling is arguably better. They've got Ezreal, which is performing much better late game at the moment than what Kalista is. They've got Braum, who's, in my mind, the best late game support.
Yep, 100%. His teamfight presence is actually insane, but also, it's not to mention the one really heavy scaling part of the Direwolves comp is the Azir, and he's already 0-3-0 clear, significantly further ahead.
They've got gold for 2 turrets as well, so you've got to factor that in.
So they're going to pick themselves up a Rift Herald.
2,000 gold up.
Looking for the 3rd outer turret. Can Decoy get onto anyone? No. Raid, nice little play there. W into the E over the wall, gives himself the attack speed.
Yeah, and this time they've brought Mimic all the way up to the top lane. So you're talking about floating towards, you know, oh, actually that's big damage going to register onto Raid. Ultimate is out. They've gone for the Ignite. Really nice ulti onto King. However, Cupcake is through, but this might be too little too late. Cupcake uses that ultimate as well as a stopwatch to try and get out. Gets rooted up, and in flies the Mimic train. Runs another member over. Run warp onto King. That's going to be another 3 members. Surprise, we're under your turret again. Knock up registers, and right now Legacy are rolling.
Sybil looking for more in the bottom-hand side of that fight, but can't quite commit. Direwolves with a questionable... Oh, he does. He does actually pick up Shernfire. Rift Herald coming through as well. Should just get themselves another inner. The ulti is not available for Azir. Might have just used it to try and keep up his jungler.
This might get them more than an inner. You're going to see a proc there as well. Do they continue through? There's 10 seconds left on death time. Is it only an Azir? No, they just back away.
Just a questionable engage out of the bot lane from Direwolves. Potentially looking frantic right now. This is 2 from 2 games, so they have been set behind early. But if you just look at the state of the map, Sybil going in early in the mid lane, but Legacy can just have more members up here. TP not available for the Maokai. And after they can't quite get onto raid, once he's closed this gap, once he's put distance between himself and King, there's just no way they can pick it up. And we see how this one happens. Sybil is completely on vision right now. Lucks out in hitting Shern, to be honest. Saw him walk into the bush, but predicted where he'd be. Nice slap into the Azir, and just takes him down.
Yeah, that's just a good predictive, Zach.
Yep.
He kind of guesses that Shern's not going to go back towards the Realm Warp. There's only one other way he's going to go, and is able to nail him there. And 2-0-5. Sybil having a fantastic game right now.
Not to mention Kalista. In terms of 80 carries, if she gets put behind, she sucks. You put behind a Tristana, and you're like, man, if I get to 3 items, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
Put behind a Kalista, she's like, man, I'm hitting a Scion. I'm hitting a Zac. I'm hitting a Braum. Why don't they take damage? You rend them for like 200. You're like, oh, that hurt.
Bummer.
Bummer. Not going to do a whole lot. King really going to struggle to have an influence on this game as we progress.
And almost that's why he went for that play, because he was like, this is the play. If no one else is here, potentially I can get a kill. Get myself back in as Shern goes forward, gets tagged up, going to take a lot of damage, gets tagged again. Raid wants him, pops himself over the wall. Ultimate nearly skims his backside. Shern will live.
That would have been really close, to be honest, to taking him down.
Yeah, it's a rank 2 ultimate. I reckon it would have nearly done it.
Yeah, red buff was still ticking as well, even though he dashed away. And 1 or 2 more applications of that as the slowest Earth Drake we've ever seen coming out of Legacy. Zac and Braum not going to do a whole lot. Raid comes over to help.
But if they're not going to contest it doesn't really matter how long it takes. You want your lanes to be collecting all 3 waves of farm, not to lose any of that priority. So I think they've done it the right way. Direwolf's trying to use some of this time to scout out vision around Baron.
And Claire might actually just be looking for something. Mimic.
Mimic, just drive-by.
Yep. Wants some melons. No, he doesn't want some melons. He wants
the wall.
He wants the top lane. But Claire was actually going aggressive in the bushes in the top lane. Direwolves had 4 members on the top side of the map, and he was trying to sneak his way in under King's nose.
And this might actually just be the Baron started up right now for Legacy. You can see they're pinging out around it. They've got Claire very fed, would be able to do it quickly.
You can't say that B word, Jake. Come on.
Apologies,
not to Legacy. They're looking.
See whether they just go for a play here, winding up the elastic slingshot. They kick a minion at triple who's very slow. However, I feel like right now they're just letting the map kind of stagnate.
And this is honestly something that's relevant. I make the joke about Baron, but if you don't have confidence in the ability to pull that play off, then that is seriously detrimental to actually progressing this game. They have the lead, 6,000 gold so far, but there's really not a lot they can do other than the inners in the mid and bot lane, but those are hard to contest for with a 5v5 with all 5 members on the map. So setting up vision around the Baron, setting up picks and trying to actually take that one down is kind of the next course of play you would expect, but...
I mean, potentially, at the same time, they've got a Scion and a Zac.
They got a good dive comp.
Get them a couple more items. Don't go near Baron. Just keep diving them underneath their turret. As soon as Triple uses his ultimate, you know, King maybe burns a flash, then you go towards Baron because they're not going to walk up and fight it without key summoners.
That's really the big thing. Emperor's Divide out of the Azir. Legacy, I feel like for the most part, are a team that is actually good at 2-part engages. Sybil always goes in, he's on the primary, and then you have Decoy to follow him up. In this game, you have Mimic as well, but no, they do actually start up the Baron.
Started and they're going to TP. This is actually a Direwolves Baron coming out. Raid's in there. They recalled. This Baron's gone. Legacy, they've solved some of their problems.
Yeah, 22 minutes, going to Realm Warp out there. Actually, what
the heck?
He gets stuck in the pit, but it doesn't matter, just going to recall. But Legacy hit Direwolves with the Direwolves Baron, and it wasn't even contested, but you know, Mimic was making sure they got that one. He was like, there's no way this one is
Here
going to
we go, the big Swips play. Straight down middle lane.
Just watch the wave.
Just farming for people. We'll see whether he continues. No, he doesn't.
Got a few minions. But Raid's going to pick that
That's
one up.
That's the Swiper Baron, the Swiper Scion ult, by the way.
I feel like that's also just a waste of an ulti, to be honest. Talking about dive potential with the Zac. I mean, it's not a short cooldown. It's not a long cooldown, but I mean, they have map priority for the most part right now. Claire pushing down that bot side, so they are looking for the inners on this side of the map.
Yeah, very good.
Chippies might be
mid
caught.
to bottom control right now.
No,
as you mentioned, Chippies could be caught, not on any vision right now. However, mid lane turret comes under siege. Ooh, King taking a couple of Mystic shots to the head. Actually, is Chippies caught? Will get rooted up, will have to flash. Claire got the Ghost burning, but does not follow him underneath that turret.
Yeah, nice escape out of the Maokai. Does burn his flash, and that's honestly one of the big tools that Direwolves do have in terms of holding Azir. Can only wave clear one of those lanes. Kalista not the best against Baron minions.
Yeah, Cupcake looking to clear out Vision. Will be able to successfully do so. Decoy still has a pink ward. Drops that one down. You can see one more time they're still contesting all of this Vision.
Putting Claire in the bot lane is pretty smart as well. Realm Warp is available. Not to mention he has the flash, so they can rotate between these two lanes, and that's kind of what they're doing right now. They're just drawing the Azir and trying to get damage on the other lane, because he can wave clear from safety, has that cleanse, has that flash.
Churn wants to play, however, is picking out bottom lane. Will get the big slow application. You can see everyone is here. In goes Chippies onto the Braum. Taric ultimate already burnt. However, knock-up lands. Braum still under fire. Will fall very low, but he's just so tanky. Flashes out. Will fall down eventually. No, he's still alive. Going to be picked up by Shern, potentially on the back of the fight, but he just cannot get his way in. And in a front to back right now, Mimic is just an absolute monster.
Decoy just does not die there. Shern Fire so split from his team, was looking for the flank. Chippies goes down, didn't have that flash we mentioned earlier. This might just be Legacy breaking the base with Baron right now. Sybil charging up, looking to get onto triple. No ulti available for the bird.
All he's doing, he's making him back away so he can't auto-attack with those Sand Soldiers. Mimic just keeps kicking creeps at him, saying, get away from the turret. Shern still looking for this flank, but every single time he goes for it, he just gets tagged up, and in they go onto the backline. King will get knocked up, will fall down, and Legacy streaming into the base. Cupcake falls as well, and that's a Realm Warp going to take a couple of members onto Shern. Noah's just cleared by himself. He runs pretty quickly, but cannot catch the bug. And they will just back out of the base.
Yeah, they can't. And 30 seconds on the bot lane of Direwolves. Chippies potentially looking for something, but no, just going to root up the Cannon Creep triple. Going to be fine clearing out the minions on the Nexus on the Azir, and that's the base broken for Legacy. Gold lead sitting at about 9,000, actually 11,000. Dragon spawning in a minute.
I would like to know the last time Direwolves lost the game without killing someone.
Yeah.
0-12 right now. 11,000 gold hole that they are going to have to climb out of. If a team can do it in the OPL, it is the Direwolves. However, the comp doesn't look like it is the one to start winning these late game fights unless Triple really gets some better protection.
Yep. And there, Legacy, one turret off the perfect game. If they didn't lose the bot side, they could be setting up for it right now. Base broken, bottom inhib is the most valuable overall, but with Baron off the map, not highly relevant right now. Raid, sitting pretty, picks himself up a Hex Drinker, playing the safety card against the Azir.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Azir is still the only champion that's really going to be pumping out that serious damage. Already got an Iceborne Gauntlet for Kalista, and they just get an Infernal Drake. They roll the dice. There's been a couple of mountains, and then League of Legends says, you know what, you did the Baron well, so we'll give you an Infernal for a
Drake as well. Yeah, they're going to pick this one up, triple. Trying to match with some pressure on the other side, actually. Legacy didn't want that dragon. Claire says, yes, I do.
Yeah, he certainly wants it. How much AP has Claire got at the moment?
Lots.
Going to go to...
That's the technical term.
This is the max AP build. This is actually, if you get yourself a hat...
547.
That is... Yeah, he's going to be like a 900 AP rise if it gets that late.
Like a truck. Shernfire once again looking for the flank, and I feel like it seems a bit weird. Mimic actually looking for the play.
Yeah, actually dashes forward. Mimic is just... I mean, he's unstoppable right now. If he gets into a backline, there's no way you're killing a Gargoyle Stone Plate, because his W gives him so much health.
Yep. Not to mention, it's smart that he's only using one cooldown at a time, really. Burns the Glory, but doesn't burn the ulti, so he kind of has more windows to look for the picks. They essentially do the same thing for the most part, just give you a bit more move speed. Obviously, the Glory doesn't have the knock-up at the end, but if you can close the gap, that's really all Sion needs right there. And I was mentioning Shernfire kind of playing on the back, and I feel like it is smart play for the most part. He's not really going to do anything in a full-out front-to-back team fight, so he's looking to pick off the carries here and there. And honestly, he just has more pressure than he otherwise would, because Legacy do have to respect it. You saw Decoy throws the wall or the door up at the Kha'Zix instead of the rest of the team.
In they go, however. Sybil looking, gets King, slaps him back towards it. Ultimate already down out of Cupcake, but King falls very low. Kidnapped back into the team, and he is just going to fall down. You can see they're still looking for the fight, but Realm Warp is going to take Sion into the back line. Shern falls, triple falls, and Sybil just survives. Double kill for Claire, and they're looking to end the game.
Legacy find themselves onto both carries of the Direwolves. Still yet to lose a life. 16-0 in kills right now. This looks like they're going to try end the game.
Yeah, potentially. However, waves are very far away, so potentially we'll just have to go topside. Claire doesn't have the ultimate to be able to take anything underneath turret.
20 seconds on King, 15 now, 25 on Triple, and he's the big one. Can they actually push this one through?
So Mimic just starts taking them up. There is no minion debuff here, but Creeps will now join. Chippy's trying to corral them. 3 seconds on King. However, they are now onto the Nexus. Can they burn it down in time? 10 seconds. Onto the Azir. You can see Chippy's in the back line trying to get them busy, but Legacy do it. They pick up game 2. They send us to game 3.
And finally, Legacy transition an early game to mid, successfully net themselves a Baron. They've overcome the Beast. And we mentioned game 1. They looked good early, but they just failed to translate that lead. Game 2 successful. Looking good coming into game 3 here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that was the most impactful game we've seen out of Mimic. He was able to get to multiple fights, multiple dives with the Scion. Looked very good on the tank. And I think that's what I want to see more out of him.
Not to mention, he also got to a bunch of fights where he wasn't needed.
Yep.
He just spent his entire lane phase pushing it in and then rotating down the river. And I feel like Triple kind of did get thrown to the wolves, for lack of a better term, sorry, because Schoenfire was invading and he was kind of coming up with the death for that play, and then having Mimic constantly floating in that means that the chance of Triple kind of getting a counter kill in any of those ganks where Schoenfire is looking for like a 2v2 is just even lower. So despite Mimic influencing all the plays he did actually get to, he was also there when he wasn't even needed.
Yeah, it certainly was, and I think this is one of the first games I've seen in a long time where Direwolves have started bleeding out lanes 2 times in a row. They've started, you know, going 50-50 or slightly losing, and then they're losing kills in the early game. Just doesn't look like what the Direwolves usually build off.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the bot lane out of Legacy as well, looking fairly decent. We were questioning them coming into the series, but I feel like overall they have stepped it up.
Yeah, exactly right. I feel like they didn't have as much early game impact. However, Ezreal is such a good scaling AD carry. You kind of are in no rush right now when you play Ezreal. You know he's going to get to where he needs to be. If you stay even or better, the pressure was always on King to make those play. And credit to Raid, he played the lane that way.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like if you put Decoy on Braum, then he's going to be absolutely fine. Big proponent of that champion. But as you mentioned, the Kalista, I'm interested to see as we go into game 3, is it kind of just nobody going to touch it? Because we've seen Legacy, they had the chance to first pick a game 1 and they were like, okay, like, yeah, maybe we do unsuccessful, whatever. But then King now had his hand at it. And that didn't work out for the Direwolves, so does it just completely lose prioritization?
Yeah, potentially could. We'll see, because Game 3 is around the corner. But before we get there, let's hear from Laura and Juves and their thoughts on Game 2.
Thank you very much, guys. We have a series on our hands. Legacy taking down the Direwolves, and the Direwolves getting no kills that game. That is unheard of.
I want to shout out Bryce E. Jim Pauly before the game. Turns out my hype around Legacy was actually what's the word I'm looking for? Was right. Maybe that's not. Maybe
them, though.
I didn't tip them, but I was hyping them, and Bryce is like, "You can't hype them and then do this and that." And also, fun fact: it seems like whatever team, whatever League of Legends team in any region Samsung pick up, they get a buff. It's like a Samsung buff. Like they might go to some hyperbolic Samsung time chamber, and they turn out like as soon as they get picked up by Samsung, their Baron's clean.
The curse is over.
They must have something down at Samsung. I don't know. I'm going to find out, though.
Something I really want to talk about this game is that we finally got to see Mimic make an impact. He did work on that Scion pick, and we were talking about yesterday how Scion is so annoying to go up against in lane. And you were saying he's very obnoxious with Comet.
Yep.
But I want to talk about Chippies as well, because you were saying that he doesn't look particularly strong on these tank carries in the top.
If you had a criticism of Chippies, I think it's been that his tank gameplay is not as good as his carry gameplay. And I think when you put players on tanks, and I think top lane as a role right now, it's less about it's a little less about mouse clicks and more about brain clicks. Like, it's more about the rotations. And I think Mimic that game was perfect in terms of leaving his lane, rotating mid, pretty much polar opposite. It's like Direwolves and Legacy switch top laners for those games. And I guess it paid dividends.
Yeah, it did.
Sorry.
No, you go.
One thing, another thing I wanted to touch on was, like, we spoke briefly about the game of how teams have generally been too scared to collapse on Schoenfire when he's invading, and it just goes to show that they don't always make the right decisions. It's just that when Direwolves make the decisions, they commit as a team, and unfortunately, Triple started the game 0-3, 0-2, but it wasn't through his wrongdoing. It was a combination between Shern picking the
Fire.
wrong time to invade and Triple just following like a loyal guardian. Like it was like Triple was following the shepherd. Shern was the shepherd, Triple was the sheep. He's following him, and then Shern was like, hey, "Yeah, I've got 4 other sheep on this map. You're gone." And then the shepherd just did the runner.
You should be an analyst for Legacy too. They listened to your advice and
They
it worked
did.
out for them. But I want to talk about this Baron curse because I know like it's only one Baron and we may be overhyping it a bit. But when I spoke to Soul Strikes last week about it, he was saying that he had a lot of pointers to give the team about it, and surely this has to be a bit of a confidence boost for the team.
I don't think they're out of the woods yet in terms of Baron. Like, it was a good decision to do the Baron, but Legacy, Direwolves weren't even contesting it anyway. So it was like, the time, you know a team's a good Baron team when Baron's being contested and they make a clear call, whether it's turn or finish. With this one, it was a good call to do the Baron, but Direwolves didn't contest, so there was no sweating coming out of Legacy. When Legacy starts sweating and there's contest and people are contesting, then I'm gonna say they're out of the woods. But for now, good call on the Baron.
Well, I asked you last game what advice you had for Legacy going into Game 2. What advice do you have for the Direwolves going into Game 3?
I think, well, one thing that I'm a firm believer of is you can't fix many things in between games. The only thing you can fix is sometimes mentality and going back to what you know works. I don't think Direwolves know chippies on tanks works. I think that's the brutal truth. I think Direwolves know chippies on carries 100% of the time works. Like, they won OPL doing it. They did okay internationally doing it. And it's something that's formed their identity. Like, it's been their identity for a long time. So I think they just need to reset and go back to what suits them and what made them a powerhouse team.
Looking at both of these games, Juves, are you going to swap your prediction? Are you going to tip
You know what?
Legacy?
You know what? In spite of Bryce or Ejim, in spite of that man, I am going to go with Legacy 2-1. I've logged onto the website and I've changed my tips. And you can't too.
We heard it here first, guys. Juves tipping 2-1 to Legacy now. We're going to go to a short break, but when we get back, we're going to have Game 3 between Legacy and the Direwolves. Don't miss it.
The Torres fake call is in. A huge 3-man knock-up out of Mimic. The ultimate is there. The kidnap is on Sybil. Will go down to Blob Blitz. However, 2 members already dead. Arcane Shift just off cooldown. That is a 3-for-0 trade. Gets rooted up. And in flies the Mimic train. Runs another member over. Run Warp onto King. That's going to be another 3 members. Surprise, we're under your turret again. Knock-up registers. And right now, Legacy are rolling. Knock-up lands. Braum still under fire. Will fall very low, but he's just so tanky, flashes out, will fall down eventually. No, he's still alive. Going to be picked up by Shern, potentially on the back of the fight, but he just cannot get his way in. And in they go onto the backline. King will get knocked up, will fall down, and Legacy streaming into the base. Cupcake falls as well. Ultimate already down out of Cupcake, but King falls very low. Kidnapped back into the team, and he is just going to fall down. You can see they're still looking for the fight, but Runwolf is going to take Zion into the backline. Shern falls, Triple falls, and Sybil just survives. Double kill for Claire, and they're looking to end the game. You can see Chippy's in the backline trying to get them busy, but Legacy do it. They pick up Game 2. They send us to Game 3.